Well, not to be outdone, J.B. Ryan went ahead and visited the gypsies and the tea room parlors and the psychics, and he became so disillusioned because they were all so fraudulent. And he then developed the idea of these cards, and he put circles and wavy lines, and the trouble is these cards were not that thick, and when you drew with blue ink on the other side, when you held them up and the light came through them, guess what you could see slightly on the other side? You could almost see the outline. The cards are still in existence that he used. You can see them. So there wasn't any great feat. But he said, I believe that everybody has ESP power resident within them. And it is our task as the Society for Psychical Research, and these members are now at Stanford University, they're at Harvard, and there are other places, now open their doors wide to study the occult arts in the name of ESP. Interesting to note that the same institutions would have gotten out the tar and feathers if a professor would have suggested they study the miracles of Christ, study the Bible, or historic Christianity. That would be religious. But to study the Hindus and their feats of fakir or fakers, what they do in India, that is science. To study Buddhism is science, but to study Christianity, well, that is not allowed. That is religion. In the 60s, J.B. Ryan's research took off. We had the drug revolution. You had Edgar Cayce. You had other people involved. And before you know it, we land up today in 1989, when in the newspaper just 2 mornings ago it stated in a U.S. Today poll, 65% of the people polled believe in crystals, crystal balls, lucky charms, reincarnation, ghosts, etc. And the younger the person is, the more likely they are that they believe it. The older the person it is, the less likely it is they believe it. Why? Well, the older people, by and large, still remember the scientific materialistic stage of the early part of the 20th century, and they have a basic skepticism about ghosties and ghoulies, and when they go to the movies or they're looking on their television and they see a scary movie with a vampire, they take it as entertainment, but the kids believe in vampirism. The kids believe in Satan and demon possession. The kids believe in reincarnation and ghosties and ghoulies and zombies and werewolves. No. Yes, they do. I've talked with them, counseled with them. You have kids who enter the satanic arts because they want to become a vampire and a werewolf. You say, well, these kids are crazy. These are the same kids who kill themselves because with the theory of reincarnation, they can come back. They can be recycled. So they lost their boyfriend, and of course at that age, the tender teenage years, life has no meaning. Harry is gone. So I'll just kill myself, and when I come back, I can try again, and maybe I'll have an even better boyfriend. Well, this is the stage we have. As a matter of fact, in the New England magazine that I was also shown this week, the article, the front page said, Satanism in Worcester, Massachusetts. Full-length dissertation on what the devil worshippers are doing. Now, they laughed at Geraldo Rivera, didn't they? They mocked him until the news report of what happened in Mexico, where the Satanists were doing human sacrifices. They were laughing. Well, they're not laughing anymore. They're just keeping quiet. Why? Many of the Hollywood stars are not only officially members of satanic cults and covens, they are actually personally opposed to Christianity. Why do you think that the National Endowment to the Arts would pay an artist who puts a crucifix in a bottle of urine and calls it art? Now, if you put a bust of Martin Luther King in a bottle and filled it with urine, there would be a revolution. If you put a Star of David, but it's okay to put a crucifix. And in almost your television shows, the movies, who is the one who is stark raving mad, bloodshot eyes, and with an axe? It's the Bible-toting Christian, like the children of the corn. And you find an endless grind that the Christians are the evil seeds, the nutcases, and we need to get away from them. Well, today it is called the New Age movement. It's gone from being witchcraft to spiritualism, to spiritism, to psychism, to psychic phenomena, to ESP, to parapsychology. Now it's called New Age. So what was called seances is now called channeling. The only difference is the seance used to cost $10, now you pay $400. And instead of talking to Auntie M, you're talking to Batu from the planet Tubu, who's 4 billion years old. For that you pay $400. Auntie M is only $10. Now, why do people get involved in the occult? One, to contact the dead. Thus, after every great war, all the gypsies are busy. The occultic parlors are full. Why? Loved ones. They want to contact their dead relatives. The local priest or pastor is not going to help them on this one. So they go to the witches to do it. Or to see the future. Maybe they want to plan the stock market. Who wouldn't like to know the right moment to sell your stock? Heard about this guy who somehow, in God's providence, picked the right moment to sell his stock when it was at the highest point, and then he watched it drop, and he bought it at the lowest, and he made $65,000 in a matter of weeks. And he started out with something like $20,000. You say, boy, wouldn't it be nice? Well, those people who get involved in the occult, they go to the astrologers, the soothsayers, they go to the channelers trying to tell the future to obtain power. Now, that's where most teens get into it. The power to make somebody love you, so they use love potions and talismans. The power to hurt other people. You have teenagers who go into witchcraft to get the power to hurt their own parents, to contact Satan or the demonic host. Some people are stupid enough to do that. Now that to me is the depths of stupidity. Who in the world really wants to face old Slewfoot? He doesn't have a very good reputation of being a good host. He usually eats his guests, but they do, to satisfy curiosity or the need for excitement. This is the same reason that people like the front car on the roller coaster. Why? It gives you that charge of adrenaline. And there are those people who get involved in the occult because initially it's scary and it gives you goosebumps, and you hear the priest of Satan, Krishna, Krishna, Shiva, Shiva, and they're marching around in their cloaks and they have their daggers and they're killing an animal, or maybe they're killing a child or whatever it is, and they get all excited. Now at first this initial excitement draws certain types of people. Sixthly, can be class assignment. Because of the New Agers, you have public school systems throughout the country that are actually forcing the kids into occultic experimentation, such as visualization, imagery, spirit guides, the masters. We had one case in Camp Hill where some parents came to me and said the local elementary school has done a new program where they try to hypnotize the kids during the day, put them in a light trance, and then have lights going, and then they start whispering things. We are infinite. You can do anything. You are God. We are all God. And they said, well, this will help them make better grades. This isn't religious. We're just opening up the infinite potential of man. Well, we started a campaign and revealed that this was simply Raja Yoga, and that I identified the Bulgarian father of it, who had gotten his PhD in the Soviet Union, studying how to use occultic techniques to use mind control on young children so that by the time they grow up, they will think only what the state wants them to think. To take away the values given by their parents and replace them by the values of the state. And there we've listed the books in great profusion. There are court cases in Florida, court cases in New Jersey and California. So in the public school, your child may be asked to play with the Ouija board, try to levitate things, do experimentations with levitation, telepathy, or whatever it is. And if you object, they say, oh, well, this is only science. This isn't religious. This is science. Science, can you weigh and measure telepathic power? No. It is just an excuse for putting the religion, you see, of the sorcery into the hands of the children. The results have been devastating. They are told, kids, that as you go within yourself, you will find your own truth. You see, there's the left brain and the right brain, and you see one side of the brain is the rational way of knowing. That is, you touch and you taste, you see, you weigh, you measure. But that's not true truth. The other side of the brain is where you know something extrasensory. You know it intuitively. You just know it's true because of the inner voice within you. And that inner voice within you is always right and is never wrong, and you should follow it. Kids have committed suicide. They've hurt other children because the inner voice told them to stab their sister. The inner voice within them told them to kill themselves. Hence the lawsuits. We got it out of that public school system by the grace of God. Seventhly, people also get involved because it becomes the in thing and the fad. Right now, the Ouija board is the big fad in the Pennsylvania public schools. You march into the local high school during the lunchtime and they have the Ouija boards out and they're whittling away. Now, this is the very same school system that when they discovered the utter criminal acts of this girl in Williamport, Pennsylvania, who dared take out a Bible during her lunchtime period and read it, they took her to court. But the kids with the Ouija boards, they can just start in crystal balls, that's fine. But let no student take out a Bible during their own free time and read it. That is illegal. Thank God the Supreme Court has since ruled you cannot tell students they do not have the right during a free period, such as lunchtime, to read the Bible when they can read Playboy, Marxist novels, and anything else. If you say they can't read one thing, they can't read anything. And if you say they can read anything, you can't forbid the Bible. But this is the same system that allows the kids to bring in Dungeons and Dragons and use it as a class assignment, but not let the Bible in. C.S. Lewis was right on this point. In Screwtape Letters, Satan, speaking to one of his nemesis, said, I first have convinced men that I don't exist, so the devil does not exist to them, but God does. But the day will come when I'll convince them God doesn't exist, but I do. Well, we have arrived at that time. Fourthly, I want to preface remarks concerning the occult arts by emphasizing the fraudulent manner of 99.9% of all psychic claims. Now, this doesn't simply have to do with the use of the Ouija board. Some people go overboard and say every time you use a Ouija board you get possessed by a demon. Well, that is fraudulent in a claim in and of itself. There aren't demons hiding in every Ouija board. They're not waiting at Parker and Brothers or whoever it is that produces them and they jump in the box. Just like you have Jack in the Box, you have Demon in the Box. No, you can't take such a view. I don't think there's any warrant in Scripture or human experience to verify that. What we do find is that 99.9% of the Ouija boards, the channeling, the seances, the use of crystals, so-called psychic phenomena, mental telepathy tricks, Uri Geller, bending spoon, they're frauds. Skillfully concocted frauds, wishful thinking, or just downright ignorance. Now, I know this bursts the bubble of a lot of people. You have the occultic people who really want to think that maybe they've encountered a real supernatural event. Then along comes a good illusionist like the amazing Randy, or some of the Christians like Kareem, and they say, any magician can reproduce that. And if you see the amazing Kreskin do his mental act and find the envelope with no supernatural claims, no psychic phenomena, he tells you this is a trick. He uses body reading. As he goes down, he'll move slightly this way. He's reading faces. Women, when they're trying to conceal the truth, will start giggling. Men, when they're trying to conceal the truth, set themselves stiff. They know they're not going to giggle, and they look like a stiff board and a sourpuss. So he's looking for the gigglers and those sucking on persimmons. And pretty soon he finds them, and he gets closer and closer, and if it's a man holding that envelope, he will be the stiffest poker face in the entire... I mean, jokes will be flying, and that guy will be like this. Why? He's thinking, I better not let him know in any way that I'm the one who has the envelope. Everyone's laughing but Joe. And Kreskin finds him in short time. It's a trick. It's called cold reading. Along comes a religious psychic and says, yes, there's someone out there who has hemorrhoids. Well, even in an audience this big, some of you know about Preparation H, not just for wrinkles, but for other things. I could say, is there someone here who has lower back pain? Invariably, someone will stand up. There's someone over here who has blood pressure problems. Well, of course someone's going to jump up with blood pressure, but you will find that the psychics and those religious people involved in psychic acts always refer to those things which have a good chance to be found in any audience. By fraudulent, I simply mean that they are tricks of the trade. The occultists really are not producing very much, and the Christians are sometimes disappointed because they like the excitement of saying that there's a demon under every bed, there's a demon in every bush, and an evil spirit flying over your head at all times, cackling on a broom, you're mine, you're mine, you're mine. Well, you see, that doesn't quite work out either as you read the Scripture. Demons were not on every corner and every bed fighting every believer. Thank God that that is not the case. If they were, if they were fighting us every day and every way, I think we would have even a greater problem that we have in the Christian life than what we have today. I think it is safe to say that we as believers usually blame the devil for what is the result of our own sin, our own carelessness, our own forgetfulness, or our lack of paying attention to the Scriptures. We blame the devil far too often when the fault belongs to us and to us alone. So I do not want to give people the idea that there are demons acting everywhere and everything you see on these shows, that's incredible, or whatever it is, that you're going to believe all this hokum. It's nothing but fraud. I've investigated case after case. You can find it in my book on reincarnation. When I investigated the great cases which prove reincarnation, they were frauds. In my book on astrology, I looked at the scientific astrologers and their scientific proofs. They were frauds. There was nothing there to convince anyone that what was happening was anything more than a con game.